It's time, everybody. Hi, how are you? So happy to be here today, crafting with you. I'm Karina, and I work at Michael's in the marketing department over the kids area. And I just wanted to let you know that today we'll be creating this really cute, dimensional, textured butterfly. It's made out of tissue paper and cardstock and a chenille stem. And you can always make it way more creative than that. That's, pretty much a base project. So if you want to go ahead and get started with the supplies, we can talk through what you're going to need. You'll need scissors, cardstock, black cardstock if you have that, glue. You'll need a chenille stem for the antenna. You'll need some tissue paper. So here we use two different colors. I have this fuchsia left over and this really cute lavender lilac color. And then you can use a multitude of colors if you'd like, rainbow colors, really anything that you want. It's up to you to get creative here. So we'll also need a pencil, but I have kind of a little hack, a little tip. Because we're drawing on cardstock, there's no template for this project. So because we're drawing our butterfly on cardstock, I thought on black cardstock, using chalk would be a good way to draw on it so that you can see it. The other thing I had was I had a white crayon, but it broke. So yellow might also work on black construction paper or cardstock paper. I also have tape, tape just in case you have a hard time adding the chenille stem on the head of your butterfly. So I had a hard time. Thankfully, I didn't touch it after I glued it, and so just let it dry overnight and it was able to stick. But let's say you want to play with your butterfly as soon as you craft it, it would be a little bit easier to use tape with it. So those are our supplies. So go ahead and go grab them. And then while you go and grab your supplies, I'm gonna give you some fun facts about butterflies. So I have to research about animals because one, my son is fascinated with bugs in general, but two, because it just makes things more interesting when you're learning something new. So I have here some really fun facts about butterflies. Butterflies feed on nectar from flowers. A lot of us know that, but they also eat other things. Like they eat, and really their main diet is liquid, but they also drink from mud puddles. And the reason is to supplement their diet outside of nectar. So it helps get them rich minerals and salts and keep them overall healthy. So I thought that was interesting that they eat, they drink out of mud puddles, and it's not just sweet nectar from flowers. So that was pretty fun. Well, do we have any questions on the supplies before we get started on crafting?
Yes, we have a few people wondering what they can use if they do not have cardstock or if they do not have tissue paper.
So cardstock, I would say you can attempt to use construction paper. The reason I'm afraid construction paper might not work is because in order to get the tissue paper to stick, you use a good amount of glue. You use a good amount of glue on here to get it to stick. And I feel like it'll make the construction paper a little soggy. So if you don't have that, you can go ahead and just start to attempt it. Just try not to use too much glue when you're gluing the tissue paper onto the construction paper. And then if you don't have tissue paper, we were talking about that earlier about trying to use construction paper, but it is a little bit thicker, so it may be really a little difficult. You may need to use way more glue than normal to get it to stick. So you can try to work with construction paper to begin. If you start having trouble and it gets frustrating, just, just save it for another day when you do have tissue paper, and then you can create it. It's a really great craft if you have the tools that you need, because it'll just make it easier. It would be a little bit frustrating. Another idea though that we were just talking about is you don't have to make it three-dimensional like this. You can make construction paper butterfly and then just use little pieces of colorful construction paper to make a really cool pattern on the wings. And that'll be flat. It won't be three-dimensional like this one is, but it'll still be really beautiful, and you can make it as creative as you'd like with whatever materials you do have. Anything else?
We have a few people asking if they could use a foam sheet instead of the cardstock for the butterfly.
Foam sheet instead of cardstock. Yeah, I think you can. I do actually have some foam, so that would be interesting to see if the tissue paper would stick to it. If it doesn't, then I would just go ahead and use like construction paper to stick on the butterfly on the foam sheet. Anything else?
That covers most of the questions for now.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna set aside, give myself some space here. The first thing we'll do is get your black construction paper, your cardstock paper, and fold it in half. This is just a normal 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I fold it in half, and this will make it easier to make it symmetrical. So it will be the same on both sides of the butterfly. Okay, and then here's the chalk. So what I do is, because the butterfly has, a head over here and then a body over here, it looks like a tail, and then almost like a heart-shaped wing, what I'll do is just make a little cylinder, a little half U right here, and then I'll go straight into like I'm drawing a heart. And then we'll draw the bottom. So that is sort of what it should look like. I'll put it up close so you can see it. Any questions on the shape of that? So it doesn't have to be perfect.
So far.
What?
We don't have any questions so far.
Okay. So then we'll start cutting. We'll start cutting. It could be inside the lines, it could be outside the lines. Either way, you can end up using the other side of the paper so you won't see the white. And all right, there we go. So then when you open it up, you've got this beautiful butterfly shape. So then the next step, before we move on to that step, any questions on this step? So everybody's still working. If you're still cutting, because I might be a fast cutter, I can pepper you with some fun facts. So, does anybody know how long a butterfly's tongue is? Any guesses? You're probably cutting, so you don't have answers. So some butterflies have tongues almost as long as their entire body. One moth actually has a mouth part that is 3 times as long as its body. Wow, I bet you didn't know that moths and butterflies are in the same family, so they consider them almost the same. So when butterflies are technically adults, they're an adult insect, but how are they born? What is there? Do you know what bug they are, what insect they are before they transform into a butterfly? I bet a lot of you know this one because one of my son's favorite books is really about the whole life cycle of a butterfly.
A lot of people coming in saying caterpillars, larvae.
Yeah, caterpillars. So that's pretty much what the first part of a butterfly's life is being a caterpillar and eating enough, vegetation to get enough energy to transform into a butterfly. So I think we might be caught up now to start the next step, because if I'm moving too fast, I'm sorry. I think the part that's going to take some time is actually adding the tissue paper squares onto the butterfly. And so that's kind of why I want to get started on this next step, which is going to be the one that we spend the most time on. So I'm going to move these pieces that I had already cut out so that you can see a full sheet of tissue paper and how I'm going to cut it. So I had just a normal sheet of tissue paper. I didn't cut this. This is just really an upcycled piece of tissue paper. And I folded it in half. And then I folded it again in half the other way. And then I got my scissors, and I actually like these scissors better. And I cut it like this. And so the instructions for the project, which reminds me, Lindsay, actually, we have the link to this project step by step on in the chat for you to look and reference. But the instructions actually say to cut 1-inch squares of tissue paper. But I found, as I was crafting last night, that 1 inch seemed a little small. So I'm making these a little bit bigger, and it also makes it a little easier to fill the tissue on the butterfly. So I'm going to make these around 2-inch squares. So then I'm going to fold this again, and then I'll cut it, right up the middle. And it doesn't have to be precise, because you'll see later, the next step I'll show you is you're pretty much just going to be crumpling up the tissue paper with a pencil and then using the glue to have it stick onto the cardstock. Okay, we have a lot of squares over here. I'm gonna fold it again. And just keep folding until you get around 2-inch size. I think. So here, I'd say about 2 inches right here. So this will probably get me 3 sets of squares. Okay. And then I tried to count how many actual little squares we would need, but I think I lost count, but I actually only counted, or I only cut a half a sheet of tissue paper, and that was more than enough to complete the one color on each diagonal piece of the wing. So you really don't need a lot with this project, which I love because you don't need a lot of different supplies to create it. And you could end up making a whole family of butterflies if you wanted to. You can also hang these on your window so you can share with your neighbors all the crafts that you're making. And if you're doing another color, and right now I'm not going to cut another color only because I already have the fuchsia color cut out. But if you're doing another color, you can go ahead and start on that instead of continuing to cut these pieces, because you should have enough with what I've already cut. These are scraps. Okay, so I'm gonna start with fuchsia because it's my favorite color. So I'm gonna start grabbing these pieces and I'll show you up close kind of what we're gonna do. So you grab your pencil, and then what I found was really good to do is start to plan what color each side of your wings is going to be. So I'm gonna switch it around from the one I did yesterday. I'm gonna do this one fuchsia and this one fuchsia, and this side section lilac and this section lilac. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do it one corner at a time because it takes a little bit, and then I'll move on to the next section. And then what I'll be doing is just putting like dots of glue, about an inch, half an inch apart, just to give myself a guide. Doesn't mean you necessarily need to put that piece of paper right there, but it just helps guide you. So I'll show you kind of where I've positioned them and how far apart I positioned them. And then you grab a piece of tissue paper and your pencil, and you grab your pencil and you put it in between the tissue paper like this, and then you crumple it up like that. So, and then you just dab it onto one of the dots of glue that you've put on, and then it'll just stay there. It'll just stick up quite nicely. And then you'll just repeat that process until you've got enough of your pieces of paper filling up your side of your section of the butterfly. So, any questions before we keep crafting?
Have any questions at this time about the tissue paper?
Okay.
Oh, someone did ask if you could go over the size tissue paper that you did for your little squares.
Yeah. So the size of this tissue paper is around 2 inches, 2-inch squares. These are kind of rectangles, not perfect, but they don't have to be. And as you can see, my fuchsia ones aren't necessarily the same either, but when you end up crumpling them up like this, you can't really tell. And then because you're putting them next to each other so closely, you don't really see that. So it's not important that it's not the same.
We have a few questions about if they could use hot glue instead or glue sticks.
Oh, glue sticks is a good question. I think glue sticks would probably be preferable for me, just because I am not good with hot glue guns and I would burn myself. But yes, you can use it. If you have your parent there to help you, you can try to use that instead. And then again, if you don't have the tissue paper, let's say you do have the tissue paper, but you wanted to make a mosaic with the pieces of paper, that would be a great idea to do as well. Could add some glitter on top of the mosaic to make it, you know, a little more fun, a little more sparkly. Maybe some glitter glue. So for the person who asked about glue stick, I'll use glue stick for this section over here to see if that'll, if we'll run into any issues using the glue stick, but I don't think we should. I do have another question, a good fun fact about butterflies. So I was reading up on them, and one of the trivia questions I found was, which butterfly, female or male, is larger? So if you know which butterflies, female or male, are typically larger than the other. Any guesses?
It seems to be about 50-50.
It's actually the female butterfly that is more colorful and bigger. So that was interesting to me. And there are thousands, literally thousands of different species of butterflies. So another fun fact was that butterflies don't do well in the cold. And this makes a lot of sense now to me. I never really thought about it too much because I just assumed butterflies you didn't see a lot of butterflies in the winter because there weren't a lot of flowers blooming. But butterflies really almost get paralyzed if it's too cold. They need it to be pretty warm for them to fly around. It takes a lot of energy to stay warm because they're naturally cold-blooded. So I thought that was really pretty cool. How are we doing with the tissue paper? I'm almost done with this one section.
You have a request to see you crumple up some tissue paper up close again?
Yeah. I'll grab one of the bigger pieces. So grab it, try to put the pencil in the middle, and then just crumple it up. I just try to wrap it around the pencil and then stick it. And then I usually like to hold it for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, to make sure it sticks. So I think, because the glue, I know you can kind of see the white glue, but it'll dry clear. So I think I'm good with this section. And then I can go ahead and attempt this other section with the glue stick, to see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just add it on here. And then I've seen a lot of different kinds of tissue paper. I've even seen tissue paper, like glitter tissue paper, so you wouldn't have to add any extra glitter to it, but I thought that would be really fun to do. Oh, glue sticks work just fine. Just fine, so that's a good hack. I feel like this is a little cleaner than the liquid glue. And I actually might use that for this tissue paper because for some reason this one is a lot thinner. And when I was working with it yesterday with the liquid glue, it was starting to almost tear. And for some reason this fuchsia tissue paper is a little thicker than the purple, than the lilac. So what kind of color, what kind of patterns are you guys adding to your butterfly. What kind of colors are you doing? Rainbow, blue, green? I'd love to know. You know what, you guys can also share what you're making. If you ask your parents to share it on your social network channels with the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels, so I can go ahead and take a look. I looked last week when I taught class, and I think I saw one, so I was really excited. Is anybody sharing what colors they're using?
Yeah, we have some people who are using blue, green, pink and red, black and blue,
Ooh,
pink and blue, white,
yes,
lots of different colors.
I love that. I think this would be really fun to do with like some, you know, if you added some gaps in here and created a really cool pattern with glitter glue to make it kind of shimmery, that would be really fun. I think I might need to add a little more glue because it's starting to dry. I really do like this glue stick idea. All right.
We have some people who are doing one color in the middle of each wing and then on the edges doing a different color. People are getting very creative.
Oh, I like that. I made some of these squares really small, so I'm gonna. 1, 2, 3. I should have brought my chair, so I'm hunching over. Okay, I want another fun fact while we're over here crafting. And it won't be a trivia, so you can continue crafting, and I'm just gonna read them out. So, monarch butterflies are known for their long migration. Every year, monarch butterflies will travel a great distance, sometimes over 4,000 kilometers. And then females will lay eggs and a new generation of monarchs will travel back, completing the cycle. I find that so fascinating because that is a long ways to go, especially when you're so small of an insect that max lifetime is like 1 year. So you get to, as a butterfly, you get to see so much in your short life. I think I'm almost done with this side. I think I need a little more right here. Okay. So I think I'm gonna stop here and then start working on the other wing with the lilac color. So I think, let's try the glue stick again. There we go. Grab the pencil. Got it. Okay, I'm going to tell a butterfly joke because I have it available while we're crafting. Why did the kid throw the butter out the window? To see the butterfly. Oh, I cracked myself up. That one's good. I really like this glue stick for the thinner tissue paper. You know what I also started doing yesterday is just using my finger. So let's say you don't have a pencil. Use your finger. Your finger's probably a lot smaller than mine too. And then I just stick it on. It felt a little bit faster to me. But it's not a race, so take your time. Okay. It also changes the texture of it a little bit. So if you don't like that, it creates that almost like a little gap right here. You can go back to the other technique with a pencil. Okay. Another fun fact I learned about butterflies is they smell with their feet, or they taste with their feet. So it makes it really handy when they are looking for food, to make sure which flowers have nectar. I find like this tissue paper is going a lot faster for me. You know what would be really cool to add to this is maybe some gems, like some little rhinestones right here on the body. That would be really fun. Okay, I need some more glue for right here. Then we can move on to this side.
Could you show some close-ups again of crumpling the tissue paper?
Yeah. So we got, here's our tissue paper. We get our pencil, put it right in the middle, that, and then you crumple it up. There you go. And then stick it, 1, 2, 3. And then again, flat. Okay. I think the pencil is really just a tool to get it to crumple up like that in the center, and then to help it stick to the cardstock. So I'm done with that side. You can see up close. How are you guys doing? Are you having trouble? Do you need to slow down a little bit?
We have some people who are already done.
What? Wow. I feel slow. That's really great. Okay, I'll try to speed it up. All right. So if you're done, I can talk you through the next step, which is really easy. You grab a piece of chenille stem, a pipe cleaner, aka pipe cleaner. You really only need like maybe 1 inch, 2 inch. You cut that, and then cut that in half. And then you have two little pieces that you can glue to the top of the butterfly. And then before you do that, I'll usually use a pencil, the tip of a pencil, to kind of curl the little antenna before you attach it. So it looks nice and curved. And then nice and curved like that, like a little candy cane. And you just attach it with glue and then let it sit and dry. Or you can try to attach it with some Scotch tape or some clear transparent tape.
What can people use if they do not have a chenille stem?
I think you can probably use construction paper to make just like a little, draw a little shape of like a candy cane, and just cut that out. And then this particular project doesn't have wiggle eyes in it, but I feel like our butterfly could use some eyes, some fun wiggle eyes. So if you have those, you could embellish it with that as well. And then if you want to color the body, so this is actually the finished project. So after the antenna step, there's really no other step. You can add whatever you'd like to the body right here. You can paint it if you'd like. You can color it in with, add some construction paper to it, or add some glitter glue. Like I said, you could embellish it, make it extra sparkly, or you could just have it ready to hang up already. So I'm almost done over here. Any other questions? Any other close-ups you guys want?
There's some people who would like to see a close-up of the antennas again.
Oh, yeah.
And if you could do another demonstration of drawing the butterfly on the construction paper.
Okay, yeah. I got an extra sheet just for that reason. Okay. So I'm gonna go to the chenille stem, ask. Grab a piece of chenille stem, a little pipe cleaner. This is about, cut it in half, about 1 inch, 2 inches. Cut it in half. Then get that little piece, grab your pencil and just curl it. Just kind of roll it onto the pencil and take off the pencil, and it leaves this cute little candy cane. Candy cane antenna, that's what I'm calling it. Curl it. Oops. Oops. There you go. So there you have those. And then the butterfly. So 1 sheet of black construction paper, you fold that in half. And then I had my chalk, so my little chalk to help me see the shape of my butterfly. So because we have the top piece of the butterfly here, the head, and then the body over here, I just do kind of an elongated cylinder. And then the whole wing piece of it is pretty much just a giant heart. So I just from here try to draw a giant heart. And then finish it off with the body. So another cylinder. You can see that up close. And then when you cut this out, you can just open it up and it'll be perfectly symmetrical. So you open it up and it'll be perfectly symmetrical after you cut this out. Is that good? Any other questions? I'm going to finish this off and then we'll add the antennas and then we can finish. Let's see. See if I can read off another fun fact before I leave you guys. Oh, so butterflies are nearsighted. They can only see 10 to 15 feet. So that's really interesting because, you know, for the monarch butterflies who fly thousands of kilometers in a year, but they can only see 10 to 12 feet in front of them. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so I'm done with my second butterfly over here. I'm just gonna add the antennas with some glue. I'm gonna use liquid glue for this. Okay, and I'm gonna let that dry for a second. And I really wanna add some wiggle eyes to my butterfly. So there's one, there's one. They're different sizes, which I feel like always makes them look extra goofy and really fun. My son's gonna have a lot of fun playing with this after it dries. I'm gonna add one eyeball, two eyeballs. Obviously the glue will dry, but there is our finished butterfly with some wiggle eyes. And then if you wanted to add a mouth, you could always add a mouth as well with some construction paper or with a metallic marker. I know Crayola has some cool metallic markers that you can use to design something on the body since it's on black construction paper. But this is our butterfly. Are there any other questions before I let you guys go?
Not really. I just want to remind everyone that you can find the link to the instructions for this project in the chat, and there will also be a video of this that you can find, and that link is also in the chat.
Yes, and that video will be available within 24 hours. So if you check tomorrow morning, it might not be there, but tomorrow afternoon it should be up there. And if you just want to wait to do it this weekend, make some more butterflies, you can do that as well. It'll be michaels.com /glasses. I have my signs over here from last week. So that's where you find that. And then you also sign up for more classes. If you haven't signed up for other classes, you sign up michaels.com /kids club online. So you have that also in the chat. But if you guys don't have any other questions, I want to thank you for crafting with me, for spending time with us here at Michaels. We're so excited to see what you created, so please share it if you can. If not, I'll see you guys again next week. Thank you. Bye.